Ladies and gentlemen, Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Benjamin Sesko, as Benjamin Sesko has said yes, that he wants to join Arsenal. What could be a potential 46 or 56 million pound move. They still are working out what it is, because I keep seeing different prices. And also, Fabrizio Romano speaks on Mikel Arteta's new potential 3 or 4 year deal. Let's talk about that. Plus, we also got to talk about Zinchenko potentially leaving to Bayern Munich. Big updates on Bruno Guimarães. Will he be added to City or will he be added to Arsenal? We've already spoken about Mikel Arteta's contract. Also, there's a Turkish fullback that Arsenal are linked to, heavily linked to. And finally, we got to talk about what on earth is going on with Aubameyang. Why is he coming out of the woodworks again? But yeah, all this plus more on today's show. I need to restart my screen. Souls, you can take it from here. I'm just gonna play the intro. Yeah.
What's happening, people? Yeah, this is going to be a transfer show where we're going to be talking about, as Igal said, but make sure you hit that like button and you subscribe whilst you're getting in here. There's already 12 reviews in the building. And yes, Igal is back and he's actually clear this time.
There you go. None of that other stuff. So do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Of course, that's how the channel grows. And bro, should we just start with Benjamin Sesko or save it for later on? Because I feel like there is so much.
And I'll let the people come in and then we'll talk about the big
There
one.
is so much to discuss. It is actually crazy how much is going around right now with Arsenal and everything going around with Arsenal. I'm seeing articles about Zinchenko. I'm just seeing articles about everything at this moment in time. So let's start with Zinchenko and Thomas Partey. Do me a favor, as you guys join, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Big up to every single one of you guys watching. Arsenal will have cash to spend, but also expecting departures with Aaron Ramsdale, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Emil Smith-Rowe potentially exiting, while Bayern Munich are watching the developments of Oleksandr Zinchenko. Yes, they may move for the midfielder if Thomas Partey ends up departing. What? They may move for a midfielder if Thomas Partey departs. Yeah, Arsenal may move for a midfielder if Thomas Partey departs. There is so many things to talk about in this single tweet right here. But the main thing is Arsenal will make departures. Arsenal will have cash. Arsenal are going to be serious this transfer window. They're saying all the right things. Everything is pointing in the right directions. But will they actually do what they say? Will they put their money where their mouth is? Will Edu actually get some good fees for these players? These are the discussions. First of all, we already know about Aaron Ramsdale potentially leaving, but there's an issue with his price. We can't get anybody who actually wants to agree on that price at this moment in time. Next, we also have Eddie Nketiah. He will be leaving, but we can't seem to get a finger on which club it will end up being. Fulham, Brighton, Crystal Palace have all shown interest in the past. Brighton have also shown interest in Reece Nelson. Aston Villa and Ipswich have shown interest in both Eddie Nketiah. And Ipswich have shown interest in both Eddie Nketiah and Smith-Rowe. And Aston Villa have reignited their interest in Smith-Rowe. As you know, they've bid for him previously. But the main discussion that everyone is going around is Zinchenko. Boys, we could potentially shift off Zinchenko to Bayern. Yes, Alphonso Davies's Bayern Munich replacement could potentially be Oleksandr Zinchenko. And if you guys think I'm joking, you literally have top Bayern Munich accounts speaking about Zinchenko potentially replacing Oleksandr Zinchenko. They're watching the developments. Bayern, I can tell you right now, if you're monitoring the situation with Zinchenko, the situation is clear. He's going to be available in the summer. If Bayern Munich are serious and they want to test Arsenal for the sale of Zinchenko, he gets sold in a heartbeat, in my opinion. And I'm basing that based on how he was unplayable come the end of the season. Usually, when fans criticize a player and they're like, "Oh, this player needs to be dropped," the manager doesn't do that. The manager usually trusts his players and gives them another chance. Mikel Arteta realized come the end of the season, if he wanted to win any trophies, Zinchenko can't be on the pitch to start a game. It was that simple. And if you guys think that's harsh, I really don't care. Single-handedly, what he did against Aston Villa, he cost us that game. He lost us that game. You could talk about finishing, you could talk about all that stuff if you want, but both goals he was involved in. West Ham, was it at home or away? I felt like he was involved in majority of the goals in that game. A lot of the games that we conceded a lot of goals in this season, Zinchenko was partially involved. And in a defense that was one of the best defenses in the league this season, Zinchenko was our Achilles heel. Is that the right term? Achilles heel? I think it is. But Souls, talk to me. Zinchenko to Bayern Munich. Are you dancing? Are you happy? Are you gassed?
Do you know what it is? It's one of those ones where we've outgrown the need for a Zinchenko in the team. We clearly understand that, look, defense comes first, attack comes second.
Look at them. They're even saying no. You got Bayern fans saying no. Stay far away from him.
You know what it is, right? I'm going to keep it on like football only because there's a lot that you can comment on and the reasons why. But the reality is, look, he's not good enough. And I've said this before. Look, technically, yes, he's a gifted player. But if we're going to persist on him being a left back, he's not good enough for Arsenal. Now, if we wanted to use him as an optional midfielder, potentially there might be a place for him there. But we need to cash out on him. We need to bank on him. Like Bayern Munich might be willing to pay about 30 to 35 million pounds, which is an extortionate amount of money when you consider who we can go and replace him with. So let's just bank on him. We've got Jurriën Timbers who's back. We've got Tomiyasu who can play there. We've got plenty of left backs that can come in and actually do a job, or we can go into the market and buy one. Zinchenko, to be fair, like for me, he's targeted. He's someone who teams clearly see as a weakness and to attack down his side because look at Liverpool, we just scored, and guess what? Trent nutmegs him and it's 2-2. So there are many, many examples where we can actually look at Zinchenko costing us more than he actually helps us. Now, I understand people's arguments for Zinchenko when he comes into the team. There is an element of control. We can overload the midfield, etc. But I feel like the positives don't really outweigh the negatives, and he's cost us more than he's gained us. And I feel like we can do better without him than we do with him. And a lot of people are seeing that. It's not a case of, and it's a very, very small minority that are actually in the Zinchenko camp of he needs to start every game. I just don't think he's that important for us.
Let me know in the comment section, guys. Are you guys even interested in keeping Zinchenko? Because in my opinion, I don't think there's much people who are at this point deliberating that we should keep him. I think most people are saying, you know what, he can fly. And I don't think that's even disrespectful at this point. It's just like...
No, look, he's done what we needed him to come in and do, which was get us into the Champions League, get us into those sort of contentions for it. And that's it. Now, you've outgrown yourself now. Like, that's it. It's time to go.
Yeah. Sesko prefers Arsenal. We're going to talk about Sesko in a second. We're going to talk about all of that stuff. But people in the comment section, do me a favor. Let me know what you guys think about Zinchenko. Zini is also injury prone. So not many pros to keep him. That is very, 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 very true. Very true. So yeah, we got 81 people in the building. Do me a favor, hit that like button. There's no reason why we shouldn't have at least 41 likes on the goddamn video. It is absolutely free and it helps you out massively. All you need to do is press the thumbs up on the video and that will help us out. Now, Bayern Munich fans don't seem to be interested in him. I personally think selling Zinchenko would be amazing. And if we can get, how much do you think we can garner for Zinchenko? What is his market value right now?
Around 30 million, I'd say.
I don't even know what his market value is. So I'm just going to try to see, because it seems like John Cross from the Mirror has come out with a lot of news today. So let's see. What is Zinchenko's market value? They're saying about 38 million euros. If you can get 35 million
I was saying 30 million.
If we get 35 million pounds for Zinchenko, that's perfect. What did we pay?
Around 30 million.
I think we paid 35 million exactly. Yeah. So if we paid 35 million euros exactly for Zinchenko and we get the same price after 2 years removed, perfect. That's a win-win.
And he's got us back into the Champions League. He's done his job. And
if you guys are wondering where I'm getting the price from, I went on his transfer market and you can see right there, 38 million for Zinchenko. He's 27 years old also. He's quite young still. So there's a lot of football left in him. It's just, I think we've outgrown him. So
we're just moving in a different direction. Now it's no longer needed. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate he couldn't get that 5th Premier League with us that he was speaking about. Now, before we go on to the next comment, let's see what people are saying. Vinny right now. What?
Vinny? I think he meant Zinny.
Yeah. 25, 28, 30. We paid 35. So, yeah, if we can get the same price that we paid for him, bargain. 27, sell. Okay. Now, that article did say a lot of players and a lot of different names. So I'm not going to even go back to all those names and everything that was said in that article. But there were a lot of different names and people spoken about in that article. But let's speak about something else. Do you know that Arsenal after some Turkish? Who's this Turkish guy Arsenal after? Because I was like, what's going on? I basically went online today, and I'm just seeing all sorts of links and names. Today was one hell of a day for Arsenal transfer news. Very, very busy day in Arsenal transfer news. So what I'm talking about is, you know how we were talking about a Turkish player from Feyenoord?
Yeah.
Today, and we were talking about him? Bro, seems like there's another fullback from Feyenoord with a different... no, the one that we spoke about last time, was it Feyenoord or was it in Turkey?
It was like Goglu or whatever his name is.
Yeah, that was in Turkey. That was Fenerbahce. This is from Feyenoord. So Arsenal target Feyenoord's left back. How do you pronounce this guy's name?
No idea.
Quilindschy Hartman.
Quilindschy Hartman. 1 second. Let me read that again.
Quilindschy Hartman.
Quilindschy Hartman, reveals Chelsea were interested in him. So they're basically saying we're after this Feyenoord left back. Now, I don't know much about him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search his actual thing. He's 22 years old. He's a left back. He is of Dutch descent. He currently plays for Feyenoord. His market value, let's see what his market value is. His market value is 23 million. Really? Really interesting. That doesn't make sense. And then is there any news? The news is saying that Arsenal are interested in him. Arsenal. Mostly today, this news came out. Arsenal are sweeping for him. I don't really know much about this guy, to be fair. I don't really know much about him, so I can't really even say much on him. But yeah, it just looks like why are they talking about Arnie Slot? Okay, so Arsenal local revealed that Chelsea were inquiring on the player. Arsenal are interested in also. Blah, 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 blah. It's clear this summer he's open to a move, but not now. What? From Feyenoord, it is so clear in the summer we are open to it, but not now. I'm so confused. What is that? What does that mean? Did I read that correctly?
Which
from I think this is what
we are open to, but not okay, but maybe not this summer.
I don't really know if this is concrete links because this
I
is
don't know
coming
who this guy is. So I'm not making comments.
This is coming from ESPN and the Metro. Never really heard of this guy. As you guys can see, we're linked to him, but like it's just very, very shady. So we're gonna see the Telegraph football. Are they reliable? Be honest. Are they super reliable? Can we take them?
There's always substance. No, there's always substance to what these journalists say, even like the Mirror and stuff. There would have been like some form of talk. Like, look, we do look at the Dutch market quite intensely. So there's probably something there. But I'd like I said, I have no idea who he is. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he fits what we're trying to do. So I can't really comment too much on it.
Big up to the Never a Foul raid. Big up to Kaz, Dabs, Mons, everybody over there, Never a Foul. And big up to all the City fans watching too, because I know there's a lot of City fans in the chat now because if they've come over from there. But before we go any further, do me a favor, hit that like button, guys. It's absolutely free. We have 174 of you guys in the video. There's no reason why we shouldn't have at least 100 likes on the video. It helps the channel grow and it means everything to me. So please do like the video. But let's continue. Next is none other than Gabriel Jesus. Souls, do you want to read this one for us?
Yeah, HITC has been told that Arsenal are opening on Gabriel Jesus this summer. Eddie Nketiah can also leave the club, and HITC understands that Crystal Palace, West Ham, Fulham, and Bournemouth are all interested.
That's for Eddie Nketiah. But Gabriel Jesus, I think makes sense. If we're going to get a Sesko and potentially another winger, them departing.
Yeah, if we get two attackers, then it makes sense to let them both go. But if we're only looking to bring in Benjamin Sesko as an attacking option, then Gabriel Jesus makes the most sense to keep, as he is probably our most versatile player who can play across the front three. So I think it all comes down to kind of what offers we get. Because if someone comes in and bids 50, 60 million for Jesus, it probably makes sense to sell him and go bring someone in. And Eddie Nketiah is going to go regardless of who we do, what we do, and what business we're looking to do. I just don't think he's got really much of a future left at the club.
No, I agree. I think Eddie Nketiah is gone also. It's just going to be for how much and to where. That's the real question. As for Gabriel Jesus, it really comes down to opportunity. If somebody comes in and we can potentially move him on and we can go and get maybe a left winger or a right winger it would be ideal. In a perfect world, we can maybe get 45 million for Jesus, and we can then go spend that money on a loan for what's it called? What's the Xavi Simon, or maybe go to Crystal Palace and try to get Olise. Do you think Olise comes to Arsenal as a rotation piece?
Probably not, because I feel like the amount of games as Saka plays, it's going to be very difficult for anyone who comes in under him to actually be especially a player who's very dominantly a right winger. If like Olise had played on the left, let's say, then it's a bit of a different conversation. But I don't think Olise is comfortable playing on the left.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about Sesko yet. We're going to get to that in a bit. I just don't want to speak about the main topic of the video right away. I was waiting for more people to join in, but as you guys have joined in, we're going to now speak more about some of the main topics of the video. But there is a topic about Mikel Arteta. Obviously, the Manchester City, if Man City are found guilty in their infringements of what would be Arsenal's punishment? What?
Well, I have not read it. I don't even know what the top part said.
Oh, they're talking about Man City if found guilty. Why are they talking about this? Graham Souness.
And the world knows about me accusing you. If you were innocent, you'd want to get me into court the following day. Why have they not been in a rush to get into court? I think that says everything about the situation they find themselves in. And it's okay saying
I'm inclined
to say they're historical charges, but that enabled them to make a big leap forward, which would not normally have happened. So if that is the case and it's proven to be guilty, what should a punishment be?
Well, I mean, that's a $64 million.
Oh, so they're basically just asking what the punishment should be for Man City if they're found guilty. Personally, I don't think Man City are going to get found guilty. I just think it's so long ago. If they were going to get found guilty, it would have been swift. I think these kind of things are going to get dragged out in court forever, and Man City is just going to get off on a technicality, even if they did do something. But yeah, that's me. I don't think Man City are ever going to get any points deduction, any relegation, or any strips of trophies. That's just me. So yeah, enough about that. But Souls, do you have a take on that before we move on?
I mean, I've said this to people before. I personally think if there was something substantial and they had the evidence there, it wouldn't have been dragged on as long as it has. Now, I understand, and I also do want to make the distinction as well. The Everton and the Nottingham Forest cases were different because they voluntarily gave the information away, whereas Man City are preparing a defence against the charges against them. But I also do feel like City have got too much money to just keep going at this. So it may exhaust the amount of Premier League resources that's required to keep a City. And that's what happened with UEFA. UEFA, it wasn't a case of they beat the case. they were just able to put so much money behind the legal case that it just overwhelmed UEFA to the point where they had to back out of the case.
Fair enough. Now, before we get into Arteta's contract and everything else, did you see some of the stuff about Thomas Partey wanting to stay? Because when I see this, I'm going to show it to you right now. So Thomas Partey preferences to stay. Apparently, Charles Watt says this, and I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. Thomas Partey has never made it clear that he wants to leave. So are we even shocked?
What is this about? Nah, I think Thomas Partey wants to stay, but I feel like the club is a bit 50-50 on whether like the injury problems, like his age is for one of his final years. So I think it's a difficult situation that the club finds themselves in, because I feel like, I can't remember what it was. I feel like it was 2, maybe 3 seasons ago. Eddie and Arteta said that we won't allow players to run their contracts down anymore. So if they're going off of that basis, unless Partey has like an extension clause in his contract, I can pretty much see this happening where Partey ends up being sold due to that reason.
So I did see something else also above this about Bruno. So what I was looking at before we get into Arteta's contract and Arteta winning award, there's mixed reports about Bruno. The Bruno stuff really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because it's all over the place. And yeah, guys, big up to Arsenal stuff. I'm trying to find a way to undo that. Okay, so there. Now you can see it. So this is why does this thing keep popping up, for God's sakes? Okay, there. So yeah. Now, Bruno G. Before we talk about him to City and everything, this was reported yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, this is basically saying he's going to stay at Newcastle and he won't be sold. If you read it, Newcastle have confirmed that Bruno Fernandes' representation over the last few weeks, he won't be sold this summer. Only way he could be sold is if somebody meets his £100 million release clause, active until the end of the month. I think this is just them putting out PR to say that Bruno will not be sold, but they know they still will sell him even if that 100 million is not activated by the end of the month. Do you agree?
The release clause won't be activated. What will happen is they'll allow it to expire and then put in
like they have a choice. Somebody has to pay it. Nobody's paying it.
The release clause expires next month.
Yeah, nobody's paying it. Yeah. Next month is going to come and go.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to allow it to run out. As in, like, the clubs who want him are just going to allow the release clause to expire and then going through.
Bruno's for them to say Bruno Guimarães won't be sold in the summer, I think it's just they're bluffing. They're trying to force somebody's hand to pay for it before that date. But nobody's actually has an incentive to go out of their way and go pay that, especially when the transfer window is not even open yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to trigger it because PSG have already pulled out and said that they're not going to compete against the likes of Man City or even Arsenal. And I think it's City's run. And also, when City do go for him, Bruno's going to make it clear he wants to join. So I just think it's going to put Newcastle in a weird situation where they've got a player who wants to join a club and there's a bid. So they either accept it or they have an unhappy player.
Yeah, they definitely don't want an unhappy player. Now, yesterday, the reason why there's so many mixed reports is because the Newcastle reports don't make sense either. If anybody in the chat is a Newcastle fan, please tell me, are you guys in financial problems or not? Because Man City is in pole position to sign Bruno G, is being said by this person here. He's a European reporter or a Brazilian reporter, I forget exactly. And he's saying financial fair play may force Newcastle to sell to balance its books because they're not in the Europa Conference League, right? So it could be a situation where Bruno G ends up at Newcastle on a technicality because they have to sell.
I mean, this has been the case for about 6-7 months now, that a lot of clubs know and a lot of teams know that Newcastle have to sell to be able to, kind of the PSR rules, the FFP rules, them not really meeting their objectives and actually signing players with the intentions of being in Europe for the foreseeable future, and that hasn't happened. So it's going to be a situation where they're going to need to, because it was like us. We were a Europa League team with Champions League wages, and that was just not sustainable. And that's what's happening with Newcastle now. They've gone far too early on the project, and it worked for their first season when Eddie Howe came in and they finished fourth. But then what they're finding is they're not able to sustain that or move it forward. So they're going to find themselves in a deeper hole if they do keep players like this, because they're not on small wages for a team like Newcastle, the situation that Newcastle found themselves in.
Yeah, and do me a favor, guys. We got 52 likes on the video. We got over 200 of you guys watching. Please do like the video. It absolutely helps the channel out massively, and you guys don't understand what it can do for a small channel like mine when you guys like the video. It helps out massively. Now, before we go on to the next topic, I'm just gonna say, if Arsenal are going to spend big, I think they spend big in the midfield, and £100 million for Bruno Guimarães might be a lot, but if we get the deal that we're going to get on Benjamin Sesko, potentially there's going to be a lot of money in that midfield position for somebody big. And is Bruno G our number one option? I think he might not be. He might not be our number one choice, our number one guy that we're going for, because we're still being linked to the likes of what's it called? The guy from Sociedad. Zubimendi, yes. So HCC also spoke about Zubimendi, and I haven't spoken about Zubimendi in a while because, to be honest, it looks like Zubimendi is not going to be moving from Sociedad this year. It looks like he's going to be staying around to potentially join Real Madrid in the foreseeable future. Now, if you could just read this for me as I bookmark it.
Yeah, HITC understands that Arsenal are ready to move on from top midfield summer target Martin Zubimendi. A deal to take the player has stalled in recent weeks, with Arsenal becoming increasingly frustrated over the lack of progress on the transfer, which we kind of known about for a few months. I mean, there's other speculations as well that he wants to join Xabi Alonso more than he wants to join Real Madrid. And there's been also other speculations that, Xabi Alonso could be joining Real Madrid in the near future, and that's where he wants to end up.
Yeah, Zubimendi is understood that Arsenal, understood to be Arteta's clear first choice, but Arsenal believe he prefers to perfect fit for the club. And then, so he has a £51 million release clause. I think we'd pay that, but the deal is dragging. Yeah, it's basically the same tweet over again. I don't think we're going to get Zubimendi. I think he's going to Real Madrid. Based on the rumors that I've been hearing, you're right. I think he's going to be sticking around, and Zubimendi deal looks off.
I just think wherever Xabi Alonso ends up after Leverkusen is where Zubimendi goes.
The Zubimendi deal just looks dead in the water.
Yeah. I feel like this was probably more attainable if it had happened in January, but I feel like his intentions have just changed on where he wants to go.
To be honest, I'm not really even attached to that potential signing. Like I've been more interested in more Premier League proven players. Like that's just me. And before we go on to anything else, there's a lot of transfer talks about Arteta. So this is what I'm hearing today. So quickly, before we go on to the Aubameyang stuff and the Benjamin Sesko stuff, because I think that's going to take up the last part of the video a lot. Let's just quickly talk about this. Arsenal want to tie down Mikel Arteta on a new long-term contract before accelerating their summer recruitment plans. In an ideal world, the deal could be completed before preseason in July. That's one thing. Also, they spoke about there's another one here. Fabrizio Romano spoke about it on his page, and this is what he said: Arsenal are prepared to enter into advanced conversations. By the way, those conversations have already started and taken place during the season, by the way. So there's been reports on this from time about Mikel Arteta. But Souls, do you want to continue reading this just so I can get the bookmark?
Yeah, Arsenal prepared to enter into advanced conversations with Mikel Arteta and his representatives to extend his contract. Arsenal want Arteta to be one of the best paid managers in Europe and want to give him powers with the new contract. Arsenal didn't want to discuss it during the season. They were waiting for the end of the Premier League, but in private conversations, they've always made it clear that they wanted to extend his contract. Despite links with Barcelona, he never a candidate for the job because he's super happy at Arsenal, convinced by the project, 100% involved in the planning for the future, and also Edu and all the directors are happy with Arteta.
first things first. Let's break this down into parts. The first thing is Arsenal want to extend his contract because at this moment in time, he has 1 year remaining on his deal. Just common practice when you have 1 year remaining on your deal. Number two, Arsenal want to extend his contract and make him one of the best paid managers in Europe and to give him power, to give him new powers in his new contract. Reason being, I think they view Mikel Arteta as integral to our development and us going forward and winning trophies. In addition to that, I do think other European jobs being available and him always being a candidate potentially is something that it further encouraged the club to lock him down. The stability of having Mikel Arteta at Arsenal is something that a lot of clubs would like. As you see Chelsea currently trying to get their own version of Mikel Arteta, Ange Postecoglou, Tottenham trying to get their own version of a relatively unknown up-and-coming manager. Sorry, not up-and-coming, but relatively unknown manager that they can add to the fray. And it just looks like everybody's looking at Arsenal and they're saying, you know what, that is, even though it hasn't led to us winning major honors, it seems like a winning formula in the sense that you're building a young squad, you're developing season after season, improving season after season, and now you have a situation where your team and your squad seem like they're at a level where they're just on the cusp of greatness. And Mikel Arteta, if we were to get rid of him at this moment in time, with the lack of quality managerial replacements out there at this moment in time, it does seem like it would be somewhat of a risk. And the club is not willing to take that risk. They also view Mikel Arteta as a crucial part of the recruitment, in addition to the furthering of the club. Not only is he the current manager, they view him as the future winner of that they see behind the scenes. And obviously, they see something that we don't. They see him every single day. They see his work ethic. They see his work rate. They see what kind of manager he is. They see the genius that some of us fans choose not to see because Arsenal have not won that trophy. I really do believe at this moment in time, we are so close to touching the diamonds and the golds and seeing the silverware continuously, where some people are really ready to get rid of him because he didn't win the league this year. He didn't win the league last year versus a Pep Guardiola and a Manchester City team that are absolutely ridiculous. Who's to say next year we don't win it in Pep's final year and then take over from there when Pep leaves? But if it was up to certain people, they would have sacked Arteta and he would have been lined up for the Barcelona or Bayern Munich or whatever main job you have. And Man City in a year's time might even be trying to look at him. And these guys would have just got rid of him. In my opinion, I think people would have got rid of him before we even started Project Youth. We wouldn't be in this situation right now if we listened to some of the people who wanted to sack him during lockdown. I think Mikel Arteta has done a wonderful job, and he's going to continue to get us further and further along. And I think we're going to win major honors with this guy consecutively. And it's just when, it's just about when, because it literally seems like it's around the corner, in my opinion. But is it going to be this year? Because if it's not this year, the pressure is going to be mounting, especially with the up and coming contract coming. Do you agree with the 5-year deal, 4-year deal potentially? Do you agree with him being one of the highest paid managers in world football? Because that is just going to be pressure like unlike before. But because he's at a top club, you're going to get top money. Because he's performing well, he's going to get a new deal. It just seems like a no-brainer to give him a new contract. It's just everyone's going to have a problem with it because he hasn't won the league.
There's a lot of ways to look at this situation now. Don't get it twisted. We want to win silverware. That's the aim of the game. That's the aim of football. That's the aim of like competitive, like nature of sports, really. And he does need to start delivering. There's no questions about that. But when we look at kind of up and coming managers, when we look at the current crop of managers, like even the established ones, Mikel Arteta's up there with every metric you look at in terms of tactical output, in terms of man management, in terms of game management. He's improved a lot over the 4 to 5 years that he's been at the club already. But you've also got to look at it from a different angle as well. Why would the likes of Barcelona, Bayern Munich, the likes of Real Madrid, the likes of Man City come out and say that we wanted him to be Pep's successor? Like, why would all of these sort of things come out from top clubs whose ambitions, by the way, are to win trophies, want to be looking at Arteta? You have to beg to ask the question that these guys who are in the realms of football all rate Arteta. When you look at the players that we're linked to, they want to play for him. when you look at the likes of players who, by the way, like Tierney has been discarded, well, not even discarded, but kind of let go by Arteta, and he still calls him a genius. He still calls him a great manager to work with. So when you look at it, there's no incentive for these players to be coming out and praising Arteta for no reason when they don't need to do it. When you look at Pep Guardiola, every single time he praises Arteta, now he can be sarcastic, he could be telling a lie here, but a lot of managers are now understanding what Arteta brings to the table. When you look at the likes of, every single decision Arteta's made, he's been questioned on. Benjamin White, when he first put Ramsdale in, when he brought Tomiyasu in, when he brought Odegaard in, when he brought Zinchenko in as well, when he brought Jesus in, and every single time, according to the objectives and where we were as a club, he's been proven right. Every single time he turns people around and says, this is why you need to trust me. And look, we're competing for the title after 20 years against a guy who arguably, if we asked the majority of football fans who is the greatest manager of all time, I'd say the overwhelming number would say Pep Guardiola, and that's who he's facing. If we were to ask what is the best team in the Premier League history, they'll probably put these Man City teams into it. The Centurions, the Haaland, like the treble-winning Man City team. And this is what Arteta's competing, and actually is getting very close to beating to a title. So I just feel like patience is needed, but also, to a degree, he does need to deliver. That's the ultimate truth of it all. He still needs to deliver on the goods. He needs to get silverware, because if he can't do it, then the patience will run thin. But one thing that I also want to coincide this to is, imagine if Sir Alex Ferguson was to be gotten rid of by the same standards. We wouldn't have seen one of the greatest Premier League managers by this standard, because it took him nearly 4 to 5 seasons to actually get Man United winning.
Bro, you're spitting facts. Straight facts. Nothing else to be said. Terry's show on the Football Terrace. I'm going to ask everybody in the comment section. The problem people have with Mikel Arteta's new potential contract is the length. Once again, they also have a problem with him getting a new contract in the first place, with him having 1 year remaining. They're like, he must win or else not give him a contract. I think the certain fans and people are just unrealistic. The length of contract is irrelevant. The amount of money he gets is irrelevant. It doesn't bother you. What it is, it's a stamp of approval to show him that they trust him and they believe in him and give him backing. If Arsenal was to not give Mikel Arteta the backing going into this year, what's the point of him planning for the future?
But you know what it is? If we look at how let's say this summer window started off with all these managerial moves. By the way, Liverpool had to pay compensation to Feyenoord to get on slot. Ruben Amorim you have to pay a compensation to get him out. So Arsenal are probably looking at it and going, do you know what? Let's secure our future. If anything, worst comes to worst, a team who wants Arteta has to pay us to get him. So why not just secure him? We want him anyway, so we may as well get paid to let him go.
You know what it is? The people who are mad about him getting a potential new deal don't want him. People who are saying he might get a record amount of pay, he's going to get paid more than Arsene Wenger ever did, he's going to get paid more than George Graham ever did, are not taking into a factor inflation. Also, the fact that he's going to get close to Pep's income. Who's after Pep? Who's the best manager right now in the league? Arguably, I would say it's Arteta.
I mean, you'll still say Pep, but yeah, I get what you mean.
I'm saying after Pep.
Oh, after Pep, okay, yeah.
Okay, but before we continue, just in, there is footage of Bruno Guimarães sealing the deal with Arsenal. Him with Martinelli, and then him with Gabriel Magalhaes.
It would be funny if he did end up signing for us now.
Yeah. Listen, it's not a coincidence. He's probably saying, can't wait. You going to join Arsenal?
You know what? Especially when he gets onto the pitch and
let's do the words. Yo, you going to join? I might. All right. Yo, welcome to the team, man. Welcome. You already know what it is. Yo, you going to come to Arsenal? Maybe. All right. Welcome to the team, bro.
No, when they step onto the pitch and see Martinelli and Gabriel playing, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, I want a bit of this."
There you go. Anyways, listen, I am the guy who started the whole rumor about Zinchenko asking Declan Rice during the Ukraine-England game if he's going to join Arsenal. And you know, it ended up happening from that. So I might do the same thing for this video, because it does seem like Martinelli did say, are you going to join Arsenal? In that, did you hear it? Did you read him? I don't know. Maybe I'm just losing my mind. But yeah, we got a couple more topics to discuss before we talk about Benjamin Sesko. The final topic that we need to discuss is, this is a crazy topic. Aubameyang has opened up and spilled the tea on everything that happened with him and Arsenal. Yes, Aubameyang has come out of hiding, out of the abyss, out of nowhere to tell us everything. So Aubameyang did an interview. Bro, when I say Aubameyang's interview was mad, it was
Oh, no,
crazy.
I've read it. Yeah, I've read it.
Aubameyang's interview was nuts. So do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Aubameyang slams Arteta, slams everybody, and I'm just going to show you guys what he said, okay? I'm going to show you guys what he said, but instead of showing you, I'm going to get AI to read it for you, because it's quite long, and I don't want to actually go through reading everything. But you can see the picture of Aubameyang. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang reveals, actually, I'm going to read it to you. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang reveals his side to the clash with Mikel Arteta, okay? This is what he said. This is what he said. The first part he said was, it was during COVID period where we were playing, I think it was Everton. My season wasn't great. We were struggling in the league. And the day before, the coach told us, look, it doesn't matter if we win or not. You have a day off. But if you want to leave, you notify yourself before the match, because you have to follow the health and safety rules. So that's what happened after the Everton game, right? Then he went on to say, my mother, a few months before that, had a stroke, and it was hot, and I was going to be Christmas time soon, so he wanted to go see her, right? So he had permission to leave. He went to go see her, and then everything else, right? He's been given authority, and he told everybody, the doctors and everything, when he returned. Of course, what happened? He got sick, right? So now this is the part where I'm gonna get the computer to read it. Let me know if you can hear. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the robot.
I'm going home to Laval. Normally I was supposed to leave on the free day and return in the evening rather than the morning of training. My mother had exams to do. I couldn't leave in the evening, so I left the next morning on training day. Once I got there, I had to take my test, but in fact I should have done it the day before since I was coming from another country. I arrive. The coach finishes his meeting and then he grabs me and he completely tears me up. He shouts at me like I'm crazy. He says, "You put a knife in my back. You can't do that to me given the times we're going through." At that moment I tell myself that I'm not going to answer him because it's going to end in steak. I didn't go partying. He knows very well the reason for my departure, so at that moment I don't understand why he is lecturing me like this. I go home and the doctor calls me from behind. He says to me, "Tomorrow, the coach doesn't want you to be there." I said okay. I knew the next match was coming and I said to myself, damn, once again everyone is going to talk about it. It's going to be a mess. What is this crazy thing? I couldn't understand. It was Luna. The days pass and the doctor tells me, look, he doesn't want you to be with the group anymore, but you will be able to come and train but separately. I say to myself okay. And then afterwards, he calls me and we have a meeting so he can explain to me that 1, he's taking away the captain's armband, and 2, I'm training more with the group. Once again, he explains why he is against me during this period when it was complicated for the club, that I have to be an example and that I couldn't do that. At that moment, I said, I admit that I have my share of responsibility, but the real cause I think you can understand if you are a little bit human. You can understand my move. After that, it was over. I stayed for a month training on my own while waiting for the break.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I have sympathy for Aubameyang with his mother and everything that his family was going through at the time, and the mental state that he was at. the team was struggling also, so it might not have been a good situation. But I'm not picking his side on this situation. Simply put, I cannot pick Aubameyang's side in this side. I don't care what anybody tells me. Aubameyang was given numerous opportunities. He made numerous mistakes. People are human. People have families. They have issues where they need to deal with. But when it comes to him being late for a North London derby, when it comes to him having issues with the Gabon national team getting sent home, with him having issues numerous times with Arsenal, in addition to that, how they dealt with Arsenal after the fact, where he had press conferences where he was speaking about Arteta doesn't deal with big characters, blah, 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 how he was talking shit about the manager, how he left on the final day of the season. There's some criticism that you can give of how things might have been handled wrong, but overall, I do think he was a disruptive manager, a disruptive captain. You can't be the captain and be being unprofessional and just doing all these things. It just didn't. I thought he was quite unprofessional as a captain, and I thought his lack of discipline was one of the main reasons why the team got better off without him, because it showed everybody, hey, if he can get exiled, anybody can get it. Anybody can get it, and it gave more accountability to everybody. I don't believe that Aubameyang is a bad guy. I just think he's trying to grab sympathy for how the exit happened. And at this point, we have too much evidence stating that, you know what, maybe Arteta wasn't perfect. Maybe he did say some things that were harsh, but the reality is, I'm not gonna feel any sympathy for a guy who continuously tries to change the narrative so people feel sorry for him, when in actual reality, he left the club gladly. And now he's trying to say, oh, I had a drinking problem, I was depressed. It is what it is. You're a professional footballer. Everyone goes through mental health problems. I get that. But no sympathy in the sense of, oh, now I want to tell my story of how I left. You could have told your story a long time ago. You could have tried to be like, oh, I still care about his home. I think the real thing is he realized he doesn't have a home. Dortmund's not his home. I'm sorry, Dortmund's not his home. Arsenal's not his home. You can't say AC Milan's his home. People are saying my logic is flawed. You're not really right, are you? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? My logic is flawed. Explain. Bro, this guy's just a clown. Bro, if you want to come in my chat and have a serious civil conversation, we can have that. All right, fuck you. Respectfully. Go fuck yourself. Listen, I'm not gonna have people coming in my chat and talking ridiculous shit. You can challenge my questions. You can challenge my point, no problem. But if you don't already know I have a learning disability when it comes to reading, and you want to come here and chat shit, get out of my face. Because there's a lot of people out here who have learning disabilities or have struggles, and they still do what they do. So if you're gonna come here and make fun of me like that, unacceptable. Unacceptable. I don't care who you are. Imagine if somebody in your own family has learning disabilities. Would you be talking shit about them like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. So yeah, let's keep it going. And by the way, same guy who has learning disability, finished university, has a nice paying job, has a family and doing his own thing, plus has a YouTube channel that's on 25 plus. So I think I'm doing well for myself, even though I have a learning disability. Just goes to show you, you don't have to be able to friggin' read every single Harry Potter book from beginning to end easily without and not be able to struggle in life. But yeah, let's continue. Right? Let's continue. Long story short, I'm not sitting here bashing Aubameyang. I'm trying to be fair. But at the same time, I don't think he has a case for people to be sitting here after his story and saying, you know what? I feel sorry for him. Maybe we dealt with him wrong. I think he was in the wrong. But yeah, Souls, talk to me.
Do you know what it is? I don't want to necessarily go in too much on this, but I mean, look, we all work in professional environments, and if we did the same thing Aubameyang did, what would happen? We'd get dismissed or a disciplinary, or, you know, we would get the same treatment from, you know, our sort of higher ups as well. All it took was a simple phone call. All he had to do was ring Arteta or notify the club that things have been delayed due to, you know, his mum's condition and worsening. Look, the club isn't necessarily sitting there and saying that he couldn't have had more time off. What Arteta and Aubameyang clearly admitted to was he was given time by Arteta. All he needed to do was inform the club. I've been in those situations as well where, you know, family members have gone through medical, you know, like troubles, and, you know, I've had to call into work, and guess what they've said? Just give us a ring. Just let us know what's going on. If you need more time off, just let us know. That's the professional thing to do. Get on a phone call. All it takes is about 2-3 minutes on the phone. Text your manager if they're not answering the phone. That's all it took. All Aubameyang needed to do was talk. But what I do also want to say, right, is very convenient. And this is why I'm going to say it. Like, what he has done, he's put people into a bracket where they can't really talk about things without being like, I don't care. Call me heartless. Call me ice cold. I don't care. What I'm going to say is very convenient. He left out the fact that he came late to the North London derby and the consistent disciplinaries that he's had from Arteta prior to this happening. And also, why was his team leaking him having tattoos before he returned? So let's not act as if like everything was done, you know, in the best way or in the most professional way at all. He did things that were wrong as well. At the time that we were going through, he was using this weight of the FA Cup that he won us as a bargaining tool to just do what he wanted. Arteta was clearly here, and he made an example of Guendouzi. He made an example of many other players prior to him, and now his captain's doing it. Do you really think? And by the way, at that moment in time, the media as well, Lacazette on his boot saying, trust the process. This was all happening whilst Aubameyang was here. Now, I'm going to say another thing that happened after this event. Why did the team not stop trusting Arteta? Why did the team all of a sudden switch on their form? Because we weren't winning games until this situation happened. As soon as Aubameyang got omitted from the club, guess what happened? Our form turned around. The very next game, we battered that team. So let's not act as if like the club didn't know. The players had a feeling as well. So, because if they wanted to, they could have done the opposite. They could have thrown Arteta under the bus in that moment. But they didn't. Actually, the opposite happened. It rejuvenated the club. And actually, that's where the club actually moved and propelled forward. So why did that happen? It just doesn't make sense. If you're saying what's happened, it doesn't make sense why the club all of a sudden clicked. That's all I'm going to say.
My main point is it wasn't his first issue and it wasn't his last. Even after that, he still went to Barcelona to get the thing sorted, but without permission from the club. They're like, what the hell is he doing in Barcelona? Like, we seen the all or nothing. We seen how they were speaking about Aubameyang and his agent when Vinay and all those guys were in the room. It's just interesting. He's trying to spin the narrative. I'm not having it. But yeah, if you guys want to keep connecting dots,
if you really wanted to keep the love of the fans, you don't do that shit. That's as simple as well.
If people want to keep connecting the dots, they can keep connecting the dots. I'm not going to get into it any further. But now the main course, Benjamin Sesko. The main course, which is Benjamin Sesko. As you guys know, everyone is speaking about it. So I'm going to now put a poll question out there before we go any further. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're enjoying the show, we got over 300 people watching right now. Please do hit the like button. Let me know what you guys think about the show. And the question is, Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal, deal or no deal for you? Forget about the price. Just would you take the player at Arsenal, knowing that you're not going to be able to get any of the other strikers that you potentially like at Arsenal? So that would mean no Isaac, no Osimhen, no Ivan Toney, none of those guys, right?
Yes.
Now, before I give you guys my opinion on the deal, let me explain to you guys what the deal and everything is being spoken about the deal right now. So here we go. Let me just pull it up. So Arsenal Sesko deal, as of course, right? So Arsenal are actively pursuing a deal to sign Benjamin Sesko for 45 million, but there's also rumors that he has a release clause of 55 million. Sesko has expressed his interest and preference to move to Arsenal over other clubs, including Manchester United and Chelsea as those other clubs. This potential signing is part of Arsenal strengthening their squad and the club and having 8 players in the top 10 estimated values in the world. As Benjamin Sesko, his value could increase to that level. Now, why is Lukaku in this post? So the Slovenian striker Benjamin Sesko has given the green light to move to Arsenal Football Club, as the Gunners are lining up a potential £45 million deal for IB Leipzig's striker. Now, £45 million would be 21 million more in profit than what they originally paid for him last season, as RB Leipzig paid 24 million for him last season. So if they get 45 million pounds, they would be making 21 million pure profit off the player. And the player has said yes. He's basically agreed personal terms to join Arsenal. And at this moment in time, the question is, would you guys favor a move for Benjamin Sesko to Arsenal? Personally, for me, before I go to Souls, I really don't want to play that. Yeah, personally, for me, before I go to Souls, I was one of those people who said, I don't want a striker who is a project. But then I looked around and I said to myself, who's available? You got Victor Osimhen, it's going to cost you a ridiculous amount of money. Ivan Toney, the club don't want him due to his attitude issues. Alexander Isak is not for sale because Newcastle don't want to sell him. And then the next bracket we're looking at is the Victor Gyökeres's. And I'm like, I'm not really convinced by Victor Gyökeres, right? I'm just not convinced by him. And then now I'm seeing Benjamin Sesko. Personally, it seemed originally as like, if it was 80, 60 to 100 million for this player, I would have said this is ridiculous. But the fact that he potentially could be 45 million, 20-year-old striker who in the Bundesliga last season, if I'm not mistaken, scored 14 goals scored 14 goals in 31 games, but only started like 16 of them. So in 16 starts, he had like 11 goals at the end of the season also. Ridiculous run. His market value price is around 50 million euros. Luckily, he has a release clause, which makes it cheaper. He's 20 years old. He's 6'4", 6'5", taller than Erling Haaland, pacey forward that can score goals from all over the pitch. When I say all over the pitch, guys, I literally mean all over the pitch. If I show you guys his shot charts, you'll be impressed. These are where he scored his goals from in the Bundesliga. As you can see, he's scoring goals from how many yards out? How many yards out is that?
About 35 yards.
Ridiculous. You got him scoring screamers. As you can see here, it shows you which foot he's scoring with. Right foot, left foot. You got headers. He's scoring all sorts of goals. Volleys from outside the box. Ridiculous ability. This guy is very, very young and raw still. He might be a project in the sense that we are not going to have a finished article. But even if you compare him to some of the finished articles, call me whatever you want. But when I'm bringing you guys some evidence to the table, you can't fault it. We know how good Alexander Isak is, right? But some of the other players that we might be interested in, like the Victor Osimhens and the Ivan Tonys, just forget about games played. Go per 90. His goals scored, the highest, or even non-penalty goals, the highest amongst all 4 of them. Goals inside the box, even with Isak. Goals outside the box, even with Isak. Right foot, Isak is a little bit better. Left foot, he's the best out of all of them, showing how versatile he is. This is a right-footed striker and has such a great left foot. His conversion rate is the highest of all 3 of them, showing you how clinical he is compared to the rest of them. And it's not even close when it comes to the likes of Victor Osimhen and Ivan Toney. He's literally 3 times the finisher that Ivan Toney is. And he's what? One third, literally more, the finish rate right there. 33% to 22. Let me give you Victor Osimhen's Serie A title-winning season. Let me see if I can find that. Where could I find that? I don't know how to do this. How do you do this?
No idea. I've not used it.
Yeah, no, I can't even figure it out. But yeah, this is basically just this past season, as you can see right there. Just goes to show you why, another reason why we might be looking to sign this kid. I personally think for 45 million pounds, or even 55 million pounds, it's a bargain. You're not going to find a striker that's that young, that good for that price. And if Arsenal can bring him in, I'm all for it. I don't think we're going to go and drop that kind of money on Isak, and even Newcastle don't even want to sell. So that's clearly off the table. And from what he's shown in just such a short time period, let me show you. This season alone, he what he did at the back end of the season when he finally started getting game time. Because this is his first season at Leipzig, as you can see. Look at that. Game after 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 game, just scoring goals. Wonderful job. Absolutely wonderful. This is what you want to see from your strikers. But yeah. So for me, because of his age, because he is somebody who is relatively affordable compared to other strikers, which means we can now drop 100 million pounds on a midfield. Because I do think Arsenal will still drop 100 million pounds on a player this window, or close to, in that midfield. Just because we're now going to get a cheaper forward, it now allows us to spend more in the other places. And also, Arsenal are already scoring so much goals. We don't necessarily need Victor Gyökeres to come in the first season and bang in 25 plus goals. We're still going to be top of the Premier League goal sheets, even with him. It's just, come the end of the season, that 45 million pounds, he could be a 100 million pound player. I really do believe with the development that Arteta can make and with the trajectory this guy's on, it could be ridiculous. And in his age group, nobody comes close. Name a striker that's 20 years old that's better than him. Nobody. And if you look around, I don't really think there's that many good options in the striker market. It's quite shit. So yeah. You can say I'm selling copium, you can say whatever you want, but I genuinely believe this. I think Victor Gyökeres, if he was to go to Chelsea, if he was to go to Manchester, if he was to go to I don't know how he would do. He's 2 years older than this guy. I think Benjamin Sesko for 45 million and literally half the price of Victor Gyökeres, much better. Anyways, talk to me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've done a bit of digging around and research myself as well, because I've not been able to watch the Bundesliga intensely this season. But when you look at kind of what I've seen from him, I don't know what people are complaining about his first touch, because actually, in reality, I think his first touch is fine. He's got a good pace. He seems to be strong on the ball. And for me, like, some of his finishing is exactly what we're missing. Those one-on-one chances, someone that can be a target man, someone who can be in the box and be a presence, because we don't really have a plan B. We don't really have someone who can, change up the game or the style that we play. And he comes in and he can do that. Exactly what we need in terms of the pacing behind, someone who can come in transition. But even if you look at it, when we look at someone who we're also linked to, or someone that Arteta admires in Marcus Rashford, he's got a similar profile to Marcus Rashford in the sense of he's pacey, good finisher. He's got a really, really good shot on him, like a really powerful, clean technique. Now, whether he can score those 20 to 30 goals, I don't think that's what the club are looking for. I think the club needs someone who can come in and change the game. And that's what Benjamin Sesko does. When we're looking at the kinds of players that we're looking to bring in, the target men type, the Haaland-esques. I'm not saying he's as good as them, but they're the kind of profiles that we're really looking to do. And when you look at some of the other articles as well, not even Arteta, but Arsenal have said as well that they would want him to be not just a backup to Havertz, but also someone who can play on the left when needed, and he can do both.
Yeah. The thing is, people are looking at Isak. This guy is a younger, taller Slovenian version that is not as good as a dribbler. He's 6'4", and his pace is ridiculous. His ability to strike the ball with both feet, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. And when we talk about we need game changers, I don't know if he's that guy right now. But what I do know is he has that ability to change a game with his ability to strike the ball from distance, from close, his heading ability. And if only he was more physical, because I was
No,
saying
he
something
is.
about
No, he is physical.
not physical enough, in my opinion. Like, I'm talking about young Zlatan was crazy physical. You could already see he was like,
but they're like certain freaks, though, innit? Like you don't find them often.
I'm just watching some of his goals right now. I wish I could show you guys the highlights. Right foot finishes in the box. When he catches the ball in the box, is basically a goal. Maybe people are going to say Bundesliga attacks, but when you have players taking a touch, drifting by people, the types of goals he's scoring, guys, he's scoring screamers from outside the box. He's wrapping around the keeper. He's drifting into the box, finding tap-ins. He's also getting movement from 1-2s with his teammates. And another key thing is he's not only going to be able to link up with the likes of Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, and everybody else, but he's also going to be able to interchange at times because his pace is so good. You could see him drifting in the wings at times. Now, I don't know how reliable this report is, but I seen a report. And this report kind of got me worried. So Team News Ticks reportedly stated, this is what Team News Ticks reportedly stated, the only concerns that they have. So apparently Benjamin Sesko, the only roadblocks on potentially getting him or not getting him is this, that he might have to play backup to Havertz before he earns his starting spot. And he might play left wing sometimes. I don't know if they want that. But the deal is pretty straightforward. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So Arteta is going to use Sesko as left back when Martinelli or Trossard are not available, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, Arsenal still want someone who can be versatile. That's all it is. It's just basically you open to playing other positions if we deem it.
If the player doesn't want to join Arsenal based on us potentially wanting to use him versatility, I don't know. You know, the best example somebody gave to me, they're like, we haven't had a striker like this since RVP. That's what they're saying. Aubameyang, can you compare Aubameyang to Sesko? I don't think so. Was Aubameyang really able to use both feet like this?
No.
Aubameyang was a clinical finisher.
I mean, for people who are asking about, by the way, because a lot of people have put Havertz's name in the chat. Now, from the things that I've seen, he's different to Havertz in some ways. I feel like he's more.
The main thing is the pace and the finishing ability with both feet.
Yeah, but yeah, there are similarities, but he's better in some ways and probably worse in others. But that's always going to happen.
RVP was a technically gifted player, 100%. Maybe definitely more technically gifted. But what I'm talking about is the ball striking ability. Have we had somebody with this type of ball striking ability? Giroud wasn't that type of ball striking ability. Aubameyang didn't have that type of ball striking ability. We have not had a striker with this type of ball striking ability in a long time.
Yeah.
I wish I could show you guys some of the goals that this guy scores without getting copyright infringements. But I encourage you guys to go check it out. Actually, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to show you guys one thing if I can. You guys know on YouTube, there's this one scout that I always check out. The name of the scout is the Brazilian Scout. Have you guys ever checked them out? The Brazilian Scout?
Yeah, I've seen his channel.
The Brazilian Scout is probably one of the best scouts out there, and he just did a video on media. What's that Barcelona guy, Miel, and all those guys? He did a video on Victor Gyökeres recently. He did a video on Declan Rice recently, but he has a video on Sesko. And boys, if you guys check it out, it is top notch. This was 2023, 10 months ago. 10 months ago he did it. It's on 100 and something K views. I'm gonna just show you guys. If you guys need to go to this page and you need to check this out. You can go check this out. Go check this out. But Benjamin Sesko is a baller, man. If there's I can't even click on it. It won't let me. But yeah, You know what I mean? But guys, I think that's it for now. I don't have anything else to say. I wish I could show you guys highlights, but I'm always worried about copyrights, so I'm not gonna risk the channel. What I will do is I'll keep you guys informed if there is any updates or anything else that's going on. And as of right now, I think Benjamin Sesko is going to become the Arsenal striker. And I think what's going to happen is Arsenal is going to spend big in the striker position. Sorry, we're going to spend big in the midfield, and we're going to buy Victor Gyökeres for a discounted deal. That's a quite good deal. I don't have anything else to say really. Souls, you got anything else to say on this?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, we got a lot covered in today's video. A lot covered. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys watched the whole video too. And we're out of here, people. Catch you guys on the next one. And Gunner Souls, big up for watching, man. Big up everyone in the comment section. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It's been a real one. There's been some emotional moments where people chat shit, and then there's been some good times. But yeah, we're out of here, people. Catch you guys on the next one. And hopefully whenever there's anything Arsenal related, we can give you guys all the latest news on everything Arsenal related. But yeah, for now, there's one more thing. That kid that used to play for Barcelona, Zirkzee.
Oh, Joshua Zirkzee.
You actually think we're gonna sign him?
Nope. I don't think that's a player we're in for. I think it is going to be someone like a Sesko, maybe.
Until I see more on that, I'm not even going to get into it, right? But yeah, do you guys even want to hear about this Zirkzee guy? No, probably not. Let's be honest. We're going to end up signing Sesko.
When something more concrete comes out, then we can speak about him.
Yeah. Anyways, we're out of here, people. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. I'll catch you guys in the next show. And love for watching. Please do hit the like on the way out if you haven't already done so. And W's in the chat.
W's in the shot. W's in the shot.